Hey friends, and welcome back. It's great to have you here again. We're midway through our series now, so if you've been following along, awesome. Big thank you goes out to you. If you're just jumping in for the first time, today's episode is sure to draw you in. In fact, I think this is my favourite episode so far. Building what we've already covered over the last few shows, Beth and Jay are going to be chatting about 7th century coins and what they can reveal to us about Islam. So let's get started as we dig a little deeper into the world of these small objects that hold surprisingly big stories.
Jay, did you steal a croissant?
Oh, you caught me. I'm sorry.
I think it's the crew, it's the team.
We'll blame it on them, okay? Let's just blame it on them.
Jay, we're talking about the early history of what became Islam. So I'm not going to say the early history of Islam, but what became Islam. And you are pointing us towards early coins, or the coins from around the 7th, 8th century, and different cities that are showing that this new political movement that became a religion or a geopolitical religion, it seems to be starting up in the north of Arabia, away from where the traditions of Islam say that Islam started. So Mecca and Medina are not to be seen. And you're saying, let's look at the coins, let's look at the rocks, that they tell a story. So we need to look at that story. What are the coins telling you specifically?
Well, as we've already seen, the interesting coins are the ones that are minted by the Caliph. The Caliph, in this case, Muawiyah, who is in every Islamic tradition.
And he is a Christian?
He is always known as a Muslim by the Muslims.
Okay.
He is the one beginning of the Umayyad Caliphate, which is a Muslim caliphate. It's the first real caliphate, according to Islam. Everybody says that, every historian. That's all you will hear until you look at the coins.
Now, I have heard that, yes, okay, in the early years of Islam, there were still crosses on the coins, which just points to, it just took time to take those crosses off. As you would see today, we still have coins and things with the Queen's head on, and the Queen with the Lord Jesus very likely now. So she's not with us, but her head is still on our coin. So they would say, well, you see, it would take time then for the next king, for King Charles' image to be on the coins.
Okay.
That's the response that I would hear from some.
Fine. 2-3 years maybe, but 20 years? You got a problem there. And fact that he keeps minting new coins?
Yes, with the crosses on.
Why would he mint new coins with crosses? Why would he just, the new coins, take the crosses off?
Is he a heretical Christian?
No,
Does he become a
isn't.
heretical Christian?
That we're getting to that. Hold on to that, because that's a good point. Now, what we're finding out is when you look at the coins, it's obvious that this does not fit the Islamic traditions. It's not fitting the narrative that you've heard, that I've heard, that everybody else has heard. It doesn't fit what we see in the certainly in the hadith or in the sirah or in the tafsir. But we're going to get to that because we're going to find that those really are the problem. They are the problem, not the coins. You always going with what's happening in that century. You don't go with what's been written much later.
And many of the
wait till you find out when those
have
traditions
been written later.
Wait till you see when they were written. But before we do want to get to that. But let's just look at these coins first, and let's finish down the coins. So the coins are there, and in Muawiyah, he always mints his coins. He introduces a new coin in 693. His first coin is 691 with his image and holding the crosses. In 693, he introduces a square coin, not a round one this time. And his image is there. He's holding a cross, so he's a Christian. Certainly he's a Christian. On the back side is the letter M, which is 40, and there's a cross above it. But underneath it are 4 letters. 4 Arabic letters. Mim, Ha, Mim, Dal. MHMD in English. What does that spell?
Yeah.
Now, Adnan Rashid, who is a well-known polemicist here in England,
A Muslim.
he has gone in on the internet and says that we are all wrong because there's Muhammad on the coin. There's Muhammad on the coin. What he's making a mistake it is that's not Muhammad.
Yeah.
That's just Mim Ha Mim Dal.
That's just the consonants.
There's
of
no
that
there's
language.
no vowels. Why has he put 3 vowels on it? Why has he put a dama, which is the oo sound? Why has he put 2 fatas, which is ah and ah? Right there you can see that he's imposing on those letters what he shouldn't be doing.
Would they have known what soundings, what vowels put on those letters
You could.
at that time, or could
No,
be anything?
but you've got to keep it, and you've got to now read it as it is. So how would you read, just as an English woman, looking at Mim Ha Mim Dal, MHMD, how would you read it?
Mahmad. Yeah, Mahmad. Okay.
Just 2 A's.
Yeah.
Or Muhammad or Muhammad, but not Muhammad. See, that there is an imposition. So that has been imposed on it. And that's been imposed on from today onto, in the 21st century, he's imposing it onto the 7th century. You cannot do that as a historian. And you don't do that as a numismatist, people who are studying coins. So that's why we've got to keep it as it is and just read it as it is. M-H-M-D, Mahmud. Ooh, Mahmud. Now that gets
Okay, that's
interesting.
interesting because I know where you're going
You
with
know
this.
where
Yeah,
I'm talking
yeah.
about because we've talked about the Mahmud before. The Mahmud's in the Bible. He's in the Old Testament. 11 times he's there. The Mahmud, the altogether lovely. In the Song of Solomon 5:16, that's the Mahmud, who is known as the praised one, or the altogether lovely, or the anointed one. That's what Mahmud means in Hebrew.
Muslims will often refer to the Song of Songs and talk about the praised one, and they say, "Oh, see, Muhammad is prophesied in the Bible."
Exactly.
and that's what.
And they have
you
no
hear
idea.
that for many years.
You have no idea how correct they are, except it's not Muhammad, it's
Yeah.
Mahmud.
Yeah.
Don't
It
put
is the
vowels in.
praised one. It is the praised
It
one.
is the praised one,
Yeah.
and it's the anointed one. And this is what gets exciting.
Yeah.
Because if you look at this letter, it's the same 4 letters in Hebrew that you have in Syriac, that you have in Aramaic, that you have in Arabic. Arabic is taken out of Aramaic and Syriac. It's the same 4 letters. That's why if you look at Arabic in the 7th century, it has 16 letters taken from Aramaic, the same 16 letters, therefore Mahmud's the same letters. Bingo.
So Muhawiya is acknowledging the God that he praised, the anointed one.
So who is it?
That he praised?
You've got to back up even further. Don't Mu'awiyah is reflecting what came earlier. So in order to understand that, you need to look at the inscriptions that predate that. You need to go back to people like St. Ambrose, the church father in the 4th century. He was the one that looked at the Mahmud in Aramaic and says the Mahmud is Jesus Christ, the Messiah, the anointed one. That's what anointed means. Messiah is the anointed one. And from that time on, all the early church, the fathers after the 4th century, referred to the Mahmud as the Messiah who is to come a second time. The Jews did the same thing in Hebrew. They saw the Mahmud as the Messiah who is yet to come. So in the 6th century, there's an inscription that we have from, interestingly, down in the south, what is today Yemen. There is an inscription there referring to the Mahmud, the Messiah who is yet to come. We're waiting for this Messiah to return a second time.
Of Jews in the past in that part of the world, and we know that.
Especially
Yeah.
in what is today Iraq.
Yeah.
So you go to Iraq, you go to just south of what was Ctesiphon, today it's called Baghdad. There's a city called Hira where there were seminaries, and the seminaries were Jewish seminaries. They were up there, and the person that was in charge of the seminaries was known as an exilarch. And so he was the responsible. And the exilarchs would refer to themselves as the Messiah, the Mahmud ben Huziel. There's the name Mahmud, 4 letters again. The same 4 letters that are on that coin. The same 4 letters that are in Hebrew. The same 4 letters in the 7th century on his title for himself. The Messiah ben Huziel. When he died, the next exilarch took on the same title. It's a title. It's nothing more than a title. And he put Mahmud al-Salman. There are 5 exilarchs in the 7th century who all put Mahmud before their names.
That's interesting.
And we have documentation for this.
And they're not anointed. I mean, as in they're not from heaven. It's
No,
just a title.
but they all claimed to be the Messiah until they died, and then next one claimed to be. So there's 5 of them that we now have
Are you saying
documentation.
they claimed as a form of divinity or to be a Messiah?
Remember, Beth, everybody claimed to be the Messiah. There were about 100 Messiahs that existed in the 1st century. Now, everybody wanted to be the Messiah, but of course, none of them did once they died. So it was just a title that was applied to each one successively, one after the other. But the problem for us is whether or not we agree with that. What we are looking for is that word there. Was it used by the Jews? It was used by the Jews. They were waiting for the Messiah to come. It was used by the Christians. They were waiting for the Messiah to return. So now you're both waiting for the Messiah to return. Now you are neither Jew or Christian. You are a Christian, but you don't belong in the line of Isaac. You belong in the line of Ishmael, and you're an Ishmaelite. And remember, the Umayyads were all Ishmaelites. That's why you're up in Damascus. And you're there, is as good a Christian as you're going to get. He was a Trinitarian Christian, but not his successor. His successor, his name is Abdul Malik. And he is from a totally different family. He's from the Marwan family, whereas Muawiyah is from the Sufyani family. They were not liked by each other. And so when the Marwanids took over, they threw out the Sufyanis, and they took power. Now, they are not from that area. They're from way up in Merv, which is way up in Uzbekistan. They are the ones who are anti-Trinitarian. They are not at all Trinitarians. They were very much Arians, like we have. Now, why are we surprised by this,
It's so interesting because it's just the same old heresy
Same old
reviving
heresy.
its head again. Let's talk about that. We've got to spend some time looking at Al-Malik. Heard his name for many, many years. I'd be really interested to know
Beth,
the latest
didn't we say
research.
when many years ago, look at Abdul Malik. It all
Yeah.
has to do with Abdul Malik.
And that was the beginning of the research, but it sounds like there's a whole lot
Little
more.
did we know
Yeah.
just how important he is. But let's go
Yeah,
and let's look
talk
at his
about
coins.
that. Yeah.